Welcome back, guys. Now, let's continue our discussion. Bhavi, Sri Lankan economy is most. Okay, great. So, I'm sure now there is nothing worth watching because the story of the Asia Cup final is very clear now. Now, as far as our discussion is concerned, we're discussing about the president's rule, and that's the point where we had left off before the break. Now, we are done with our discussion on president's rule, but just to extend on the same point, Article 365. This is not a part of emergency provisions. Just to clarify this Article 365 is not a part of emergency provisions. Are we clear on this? This is basically covered under emergency provisions are till 360 only, right? So please don't think that this is a part of emergency provisions. But the point is that it has the same effect as Article 356. So this is part 18 that we are discussing now. And when it comes to uh, emergency provisions, it is limited to 360 only. But there is this Article 365 which says that the center, of course, has the power to give binding direction to states on those topics where the center has the ultimate authority, like the union list subjects, for example. So, whenever the center gives any binding order to any state government to follow on a topic on which center has the power, that is a union list related topic, and the state refuses to follow, fails to comply with the order of the center, we can safely assume that a situation has arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. Right? Simple. And that would mean imposition of president's rule, where any state has failed to comply with or to give effect to any direction given in the exercise of the executive power of the union, it shall be lawful for the president to hold that a situation has arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. And whenever this phrase comes up, that the a situation has arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution, it is safe to assume that it is time for president's rule. Article 365, even though not a part of emergency provisions, has the exact same effect that you have under emergency provisions. Now, coming to one more point, uh, when it comes to emergency provisions, there are some landmark cases, and primarily one very famous case, SR Bommai case of 1994, and also The Sarkaria Commission recommendations. I have clubbed them together to present before you some guidelines. So, this SR Bommai case is basically a judgment where wrongful imposition of precedence rule as a topic came up for discussion in the parliament. Back in 1989, SR Bommai, the CM of Karnataka, in his state, precedence rule was imposed and he alleged that there had been some defections, etc. And because of that, precedence rule was wrongfully imposed. Same thing happened in one northeastern state also. These two people went to Supreme Court. In the meantime, the Babri Masjid case, where after the Babri Masjid case, precedent rule was imposed in states like MP, Himachal, and Rajasthan. And these states also went to the Supreme Court that wrongfully precedent rule had been imposed upon us. Now, what happened was that all these matters were lined up in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court finally gave a judgment in 1994. And since SR Bommai had come first, Supreme Court said, "Don't worry, SR Bommai will name the case after you. Be happy." And these are guidelines that the Supreme Court issued on the wrong and right use of precedence rule. So, first things first, Supreme Court said presidential proclamation is subject to judicial review. So, we can review it, we can check it. If you are imposing precedence rule, we can check whether it is right or wrong. Number one. Number two, in the case of Madhya Pradesh, Himachal, and Rajasthan, the allegation of the central government was that these states had allowed the Kar Sevaks to move across the state and go to Ayodhya to demolish the Babri Masjid. So these states had been working against secularism, and hence we have imposed precedence rule. In fact, Supreme Court accepted this argument and said, yes, presidential proclamation of the president's rule would be correct if any state works against secularism. Now, it is in this judgment that Supreme Court was asked, Justice A. Mehmadi was asked, sir, my lord, you are saying that if the state government works against secularism, precedent rule can be imposed. Please tell us, my lord, what is the meaning of secularism? To which the Chief Justice responded by saying that secularism is a very elastic word and is not capable of a perfect definition. It is best left undefined. And Supreme Court refused to define secularism. But anyway, in the next class, that is over the next weekend, while we discuss Article 25 and 26, we will define secularism. Don't worry. Then, no wholesale dismissal of opposition ruled state governments when new political party assumes power at the center. Whenever new party comes to power at the central level, please don't start dismissing all the opposition ruled state governments. For example, look at 2019 only. In 2019 or 2018 and 2019, what had happened was that in the states like MP, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, if you look at these states, Congress had won the election in all these states. Now, in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, what happened? States like MP, Rajasthan, BJP had a clean sweep, winning all the posts of, almost all the posts of MPs. Now, when BJP came to power at the central level, should BJP now remove the Congress government in MP, Rajasthan, etc., saying that people have voted for us, you have no right to govern the states also? Tell me, will that be appropriate? If a party comes to power at center, should it dismiss all the opposition ruled state governments? Of course not. People vote differently in the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha elections. This happened actually in 1977. In 1977, when Janata Party came to power, funny enough, Janata Party dismissed all those state governments which were Congress ruled. saying that Congress has no right to govern anywhere. 9 state governments were dismissed. When Congress came back to power in 1980, Congress dismissed 10 different state governments where Janata Party was in power, saying, now you have no right to govern. That's what they're doing, dismissing governments here and there. So Sarkaria Commission had said, this was said by Sarkaria Commission, that please no wholesale dismissal of opposition ruled state governments when new political party assumes power at the center. Clear? Then, if president's rule is imposed on political considerations, my dear innocent aspirants, please focus on this. The court can even restore the assembly. I'll take the example of Uddhav Thackeray in Maharashtra. So when Uddhav Thackeray had approached the court and Supreme Court recently gave a judgment in the Shiv Sena case, Supreme Court told Uddhav Thackeray that Mr. Thackeray, if you had not resigned and the governor had dismissed you, we could have brought you back as the chief minister because of SR Bommai judgment. If the president's rule has been imposed wrongfully, the court can also restore the assembly. Look at the power the court has given to itself, that they can bring back the assembly. Are we clear? Then, state assembly can be dissolved only after parliament approves the central rule. So, Supreme Court has said how to proceed when a president's rule has been imposed. Step 1. State government has been dismissed. So, when you impose president's rule, the first effect is state government is dismissed. Now, then president's rule approved by parliament. Once parliament approves the president's rule, then state legislative assembly can be dissolved. Meaning, don't directly dismiss the government and dissolve the assembly at the same time. Assembly can only be dissolved after the parliament approves the president's rule. This hierarchy of events must be followed, come what may. So, impose the president's rule, dismiss the government, get it approved in the parliament, dismiss or remove the assembly also. This needs to be followed. Please understand, this cannot be broken, this chain. Okay, so that is there with respect to the president's rule. Now, Supreme Court and High Court can compel the center to disclose material on whose basis the president's rule has been imposed. So the court says that we can also ask the government, show us what is the reason based on which you are imposing president's rule. Tell me, show me. What's that criteria? How can you prove that the administration of the state is not being carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution? How is that not happening? Show us. So courts have given strict guidelines, and that is the reason why you will find that now the misuse has been minimized post 1990s, because courts are very active. The moment some kind of hanky-panky activity goes on in any state government, the courts jump immediately, saying no, this is wrong. So the courts have said that there are only 3 reasons to impose president's rule. Only 3. Every other reason will be wrong. Number 1, inability of any party to form the government. Meaning what? What is that called? When no party is able to form the government. Innocent people here, what is that called? When no party is able to form the government. Okay, that is called a hung legislature. right? So when no party can form the government, it's called a hung legislature. And if there is no possibility of any coalition, nothing happens, then you can impose president's rule. Dismiss the government, remove the Vidhan Sabha, no problem. Or the state government works against secularism, or under Article 365. These are cases where you can impose president's rule. Not beyond that. Extremely sorry. These are the only situations where president's rule can be imposed. In no other situation. Okay, that's it. Now, lastly, financial emergency. Article 360. This emergency has never been imposed, right? Silimbarasai. Polity is a really boring subject. When you are giving examples, understanding is there. Of course, of course. Who said UPSC is fun? The option is in front of you: unemployment or UPSC, right? So that's the choice. Anyway, this is not meant for people who cannot put in the effort. Simple. It is not a very unique kind of examination. It just requires consistency and perseverance. Nothing else is required. If you don't have these two qualities, this exam is not meant for you. It's not that you are not talented. That's it. Anyway, so who can impose the president's rule? Financial emergency. The president can impose the financial emergency. Okay. Secondly, what is the reason to impose financial emergency? See, the reason to impose financial emergency is when the financial stability or credit of India is under threat. When do we impose financial emergency? When the stability of India or credit of India is under threat. What's the meaning of this? It is not defined anywhere. These terms are not defined, but we can basically assume that when it comes to, let's say, for example, maybe government has no forex reserves, maybe the government defaults on the loan, the entire country turns Vijay Mallya, right? Then maybe we can say that a situation has come up where the stability of our country, the credit of India is under threat. And same funda here also, it has to be approved by the parliament within how many months? 2 months, by a simple majority. Are we clear on this? Now, let's just look into it. National emergency. 1 month. What kind of majority? Special majority. Also requires regular approval. Also can be revoked by Lok Sabha also, not just the president. President's rule, 2 months. What kind of majority? Simple majority. Requires regular approval, but here maximum 3 years only, and there is no such provision. Lok Sabha cannot revoke a president's rule. The president only can do it. or the president. Here nothing like this, but this is there. President is there. And for the financial emergency, 2 months, simple majority, right? Now, regular approval required or not, nothing is mentioned for regular approval. And no possibility of the Lok Sabha revoking it. Always remember, are we clear on this? There is no scope for the there is no scope for the Lok Sabha to end a president's rule or a financial emergency. It's only the central government, the president, who can do it. Now, what happens in a financial emergency? Point number one, the center can give direction to the states to observe canons of financial propriety. Canons, laws of financial propriety, good behavior. When towards the end of the month you want to purchase something but you have no money, you keep on adding things in your cart, Amazon, Flipkart cart, Myntra, AGIO cart, but can't purchase. You look at the things but can't purchase. What are you doing? You are observing canons of financial propriety. Or the first few days of the month you spend money eating outside every day, right? Going to a dhaba and eating cheese Maggie rather than purchasing a 10 rupee packet Maggie and cooking it yourself. But towards the end of the month, when all the money is gone, then you will eat in your PG, canteen. Then the canteen food is nice because there is no option. So that is what is called you also observing the canons of financial propriety. So next time somebody says, why are you acting like this? Tell them, I am observing canons of financial propriety, the laws of financially good or sound behavior. Okay, it's very important. The importance of words. It's not what you say, but how you say. That's why, we don't have slums anymore. We call it substandard housing facilities, right? Now, one very important element is the reduction of salary. So we have seen earlier that salaries of certain people can never be reduced, the president, the judges, etc. But please understand, the country has no money. What are you crying about your salary and all? Please ignore it. When financial emergency is in force, salaries of any class of persons can be reduced. Anybody and everybody can be reduced. I mean, that's the whole point. The country has no money, and you are saying, I am the judge, give my salary. But wait, from where to give your salary? I am the deputy presiding officer, give my salary. Wait, relax. Not right now. So that's the case. Number three, if the states are passing any money bill, any financial bill, the president can ask the state, wait, show me the bill first. The country has no money and you're wasting money? Show me. So all money bills and other financial bills to be reserved for the consideration of the president as per direction. And center acquires full control over the states in financial matters. These are the effects of financial emergency. Dinesh, sir, how will a country run out of money? Ask country like Venezuela, neighbor Pakistan, down below Sri Lanka. When you have no revenue source, but you are wasting money either on freebies like Venezuela or on yourself like Pakistan and Sri Lanka, right? Sri Lanka is a mix and match, but Pakistan, classic example, right? No money, but the people who are politicians there are wearing Gucci and Armani and all these things and roaming around here and there, living the best of life. and the people on the road fighting for food. That's it. We are done with the provisions of emergency. That's it. Solve this question. "45 seconds to mark the answer." Guys, what have we done here? Exclusive power of Lok Sabha. Do you want to revise your answer? What is meant by ratify? Ratify means to approve. The approval of declaration of emergency is done by Lok Sabha only. Tell me. Or both the houses? Both houses. This is not a special power. I think some of you got confused with ending emergency. To revoke emergency. Right? And impeaching the president, of course, is a power of both the houses. So 1 and 3 are wrong. 2 is correct. B2 only. Did we understand the point where we went wrong? So got tricked into by UPSC into choosing the wrong answer. Okay, let's move on now to the last topic, which will be in the side of the public administration side of things of our syllabus, which is federalism. What is federalism? Tell me. Federalism. It relates to the division of power. Division of power between the center and the states. Federalism. System of government that separates the power between the central government, and the regional government. Right? So we say that we have the states and the center. I mean, you call it union government, you call it national government, you call it central government, and then the regional government, state government, provincial government, whatever name you may call it. There is a division of power. Some powers for center, some powers for states, clear cut division. Federalism. Now, what about India? Now, we know that India has some aspects or elements of federalism, but then we also know that a lot of people keep on saying that India, or one typical remark that comes for India, is that we are quasi federal. Yes or no? Quasi, semi federal in nature. What is quasi federal or semi federal? Quasi federal or semi federal refers to partially federal. This was said by K.C. Very. He said that India is semi federal. It has features of a federal country and also unitary features. The opposite is unitary, where the center has all the power. or Ivor Jennings, Sir Ivor Jennings. Sir Ivor Jennings says that India or the Indian Constitution is federal with a very strong center, with strong centralizing tendency. India has a very strong centralizing tendency. Ivor Jennings says this. But whenever we use all these arguments to talk about Indian federalism, we are inherently relying on the international yardstick of what is federal. But one C.H. Alexandrovich, he rightfully says that why to compare Indian system to some international standard? We are a unique federation. Federation sui generis. Sui generis means of its own kind. That's called sui generis. So India is a federation sui generis, right? Sui generis, of its own kind, unique. No, but despite this statement we are making that India is federal, one very important point that we need to understand is that if you are saying India is federal, 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 then there must be some features, some elements of our Indian constitution which make it federal. Of course, there are the federal features. These are features which make India a federal nation. So, number one, we have dual polity. What is polity? Tell me. The very first class we are discussing about what is polity. So, what's the meaning of polity? Okay, polity means form of government. Very good. Those who remember, form of government is polity. India has a dual polity. Yes or no? We have the union government, we have the state government. So, two governments. Then there is division of power. What is this division of power? Which schedule? Which article? It is just revision time now. Article 246. Schedule 7. Then we have a written constitution. Why is this a federal feature? Because now things are fixed. It does not depend on the center's whims and fancies. Whenever you have a written constitution, it is a mark of a federal constitution because things are now fixed. Okay? And supremacy is of the constitution, neither center nor states. Nobody is supreme. What is supreme? The constitution is supreme. Why? Because both center and states are limited or bound by it. Okay? Then independent judiciary. another very important federal feature, because judiciary, if it is independent, only then can the norms of federalism be upheld. Why? Because judiciary has a task of settling center state disputes, must be federal. Then bicameral legislation. What is bicameral? Two houses, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Now, Lok Sabha is of no concern to us, but Rajya Sabha, what is Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha is the representation of states in the parliament. Are we clear on this? So, that again ensures that the states are also represented at the central level. And then the rigidity of the federal provisions of the constitution. Rigidity of the federal provisions. What's the meaning of this? Let me just explain through. Brundavanam, Lok Sabha means? Huh? Is this your first class Brundavanam? I think you have entered a wrong class. Ah, sir, first class, sir. Then how will you know, sir? Lok Sabha is the representation of various constituencies, right? The representation of people. As I was saying, what is this rigidity of federal provisions? Look at this. Think of this as the entire constitution. Tirupati, who is MP? Who are these people? Tirupati, who is MP MLA? Guys, I think you have entered the wrong class, or either it's too late, so you'll have to calm yourself down. We are already towards the end of our discussion on polity, right? So you'll have to watch the recorded videos to get these doubts resolved, or else wait for the next batch to begin for polity. Okay, no problem, no problem. That's okay. Let's think of this as all the articles of the Indian Constitution. All the articles. You'll realize that. Think of it. Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, so many Article 3, Schedule 5, Schedule 6, so many things can very easily be modified by a simple majority. In fact, most of the constitution can be modified by simple majority. But there are some provisions which require Article 368. Yes or no? Article 368. Some provisions. But I want you to focus on those very small provisions, or very few of them, which need the approval of states. We call these what? The federal features or the federal structure. Remember, under Article 368, we had seen that if you try to modify the federal structure, what is going to happen? What is the additional requirement beyond the special majority? What's the additional requirement? Tell me. So ratification by others. Okay. Ravi, Kamapati, Shahid, Aman, correct. Pooja, please check. So basically, half of the states also have to approve of this particular change. So you can see that those federal features which also affect the states, they are very rigid. The rigidity of the federal provisions. Clear? This showcases that India is a federal country, or at least the Indian constitution has federal features. Clear, everybody? But then we constantly have been uh, talking, and we also can see that all the people are constantly saying that no, there's a centralizing tendency, center is very strong, unitary. What are those elements of our constitution which make it unitary, meaning strong center? So it is these features which are the source of this centralizing tendency, right? And these unitary features are also the cause of confrontation between the center and the states. For example, Niranjan, UK's constitution is unwritten. Can we call UK? No, UK is see, most smaller countries calling them federal would itself be a problem. Unitary countries, right? So countries like France, etc., despite having a written constitution, they are still unitary, not federal. So it is just one of the elements. It's not the only deciding element to make a country unitary or federal. Now, we have division of power. I think everybody here mentioned this answer, that when I said division of power is there, yes, you said Article 246, Schedule 7 is there, blah, 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 all that nonsense. Agreed. But is there division of power equal? How many topics are there in the union list? Tell me. 98 topics. How many topics are there in the state list? 59 topics. Where is the equality? There is no equality. The center dominates comprehensively when it comes to these topics, more important topics. And then this concept of residuary power. What is that? Do you remember this? Residuary powers. What are these? If you remember by any chance. Residuary. What is that? Powers or topics not mentioned anywhere. Right? Who controls that? If a topic is not mentioned in any list, who controls the topic? Center. Belong to center. Then the fiscal powers also. Look at the taxes that the center uh, controls. Center controls taxes like income tax, corporate tax. What does state have? Agricultural income tax. How can you ever tax agriculture in the country? Are you crazy? If you start taxing agriculture, I think you should forget your victory in the elections first. And also, conditions of large number of farmers is not very sufficient for them to bear any additional tax burden. Secondly, states have excise. Drink more alcohol, your state becomes rich. That's what the states have. So division of power is not equal. It's heavily tilted in the favor of the states, center. Next, central control over states. Now, please tell me, can the state government or state assembly make laws on union list subjects? Tell me, please. Can the state assembly make laws on union list subjects? Of course not. You all are saying no. But if I just reverse the question, can the central government make laws on stateless subject? Of course it can. We have seen examples of it. Article 249, Article 250, right? That's there. Then appointment of governor. I mean, that's a classic example of central control over the states. That the appointment of governor, though independent, but we have seen in the recent times how this has affected the states. Then the fiscal powers also. How much taxes to be given to the states, center decides. A body called Finance Commission. This body is a central body, right? It decides and makes recommendations on how much taxes should be given to the center and how much to states. What do states have? Nothing. Then we have a single constitution. How many constitutions? Only one. And who can amend it? Amendment only by center. Can the state legislatures initiate a proposal to amend the constitution? Please tell me. Is it possible to bring a bill in the state legislature? Of course not. Not allowed. Then the constitution is more flexible than it is rigid. Why? Look at here only, this diagram. Large portion of the constitution can be easily modified by a simple majority. Most provisions are modifiable by a simple majority. That's also there. Then we have single citizenship. India, one citizenship, one domicile. So we are not citizens of the state, we are citizens of the nation, country. Then we have more unitary features. We have the common machinery to conduct elections, ECI, to conduct audit, CAG. Who appoints ECI members? Center. Who appoints CAG members or CAG? Center. How can the ECI be removed? Center. How can the CAG be removed? Center. So the common machinery that is there to conduct the elections and to audit, evaluate the financial transactions, they are all appointed by the center only. Tirupati domicile. Domicile refers to residence, where you reside. That's called domicile. Then parliament does not represent the states equally. Do we have equal representation in Rajya Sabha? Tell me. Do we have equal representation in Rajya Sabha? Of course not. Some states have 31 MPs, some only 1 MP, right? If you look at a federal country like say USA, a very good example can be, or a parallel can be drawn. Think of USA. Now USA is a classic example of a federal country. If you look at, say, all the states in USA, California, uh, Alaska, a state like Nevada, or even Texas, Montana, etc. California has 53 people in the lower house, HOR. Alaska has only one. Montana has only one. Oh, Nevada has four. Texas, 36. But the Senate, the upper house, every state has two senators. Whether it is California or Alaska or Nevada or Texas, it does not matter. Federal country, states are equally represented, which is not the case in our country. Then we have a unified judiciary. Judiciary is unified, meaning what? From the subordinate courts, the matter will go to which court? The matter goes to high courts. From the high courts, the matter goes to Supreme Court. And let us just clarify here this point. In Supreme Court and the high courts, number of judges, their removal, all decided by center only. Yes or no? How many judges in the Supreme Court? Parliament decides. How many judges in the High Court? President decides. How to remove them? Parliament. Then, of course, a classic example is emergency provisions. We just saw that during emergency, how unitary our constitution becomes. Then, all India services. Very unique provision, right? All India services. How can this be a unitary feature? That's the crux of an all India service. What is an all India service? All India service is a service to which the recruitment and the training is done by center. Please hear me out. Recruitment and training is done by the center, but the officers have the obligation to serve the needs of both center and states. And the underlying logic of all India services, as given by Patel, was this: that we are going to hire people, and place them all across the country in the most sensitive positions: DGP, DM, SP, DIG, etc. These officers will, of course, keep us abreast with all the information of what is happening in the ground, will also owe ultimate allegiance, loyalty towards us, and bind the country in a steel frame, ensuring national unity. So this is actually a unitary feature, because an all India service officer owes ultimate allegiance to the center only. Article 312, more on this in your governance classes. Then destructible states. Can you tell me the article for this, please? It's all about revision now. Which article? Destructible states. Okay, very good. Some of you are right. Absolutely. Article 3. Because Parliament by law can alter the name or boundary of the state. And Raj Sabha is weak. Amongst the houses, Raj Sabha is the weaker house. Right? No control over money bills. Numerical strength is also less. So these are the unitary features which are also sometimes seen as confrontational features, because states don't like all these features, because it is constantly reminding the states that you are subservient to the center. You have lesser powers. The division is not equal. Okay. But then some of the enthusiastic constitutional experts with a very uh, positive approach, they say that, India is an example of cooperation, cooperative federalism. So this statement was given by Granville Austin. He said that Indian federalism, cooperative federalism, so nice, so sweet, right? See, we have a concurrent list. What is a concurrent list? A list containing topics on which both center and states can make laws. Cooperation, right? So here, center can also make laws. States can also make laws. Now, next point, all India services. Now, some of you can say, sir, right now you said that this is a unitary feature, a tool of confrontation. How are you saying now that it's a cooperative feature? Understand this point. I'll give you an example to help you understand. Think of the current situation in our country with respect to, say, the central government and West Bengal government. Central government and the West Bengal government. See, when it comes to the central and the West Bengal government, these two governments are not the best of friends, right? The politicians largely, but still, West Bengal government's needs are being fulfilled by the center. Whether it is the Kerala government, the Tamil Nadu government, or Andhra Pradesh government, or say Odisha government, it's all functioning fully. Projects are getting approved. How? What is going to happen is the West Bengal minister will ask an IS officer, get it approved from the center. This IS who is posted in West Bengal will call his or her batchmate in Delhi. Hey, listen, remember me? We used to spend time in Labasna. Yes, yes, hi, hello, everything done. I've sent a file, get it approved. And your friend at the central level gets the file approved, sends it back, task done. You are an IPS officer, say in Tamil Nadu. Some criminal has crossed the border, has entered Kerala under the Kerala police jurisdiction. Now your DSP comes to you, say, sir, please call your batchmate in Kerala, ask them to help us out. We are going to Kerala. You call your friend that I am sending my police team, please help them out. And your friend in Kerala, he or she calls the junior, says, come on, the police is coming from Tamil Nadu, just provide them with basic assistance. Done. Without all India's services, day to day cooperation in this country and day to day administration will become impossible. Right? So, day to day administration, it is a requirement that we have all day services. Then DPSP. What is DPSP? Directive Principles of State Policy. More on this over the next weekend. These are basically principles which both the center and the states must follow while they make laws. DPSP. Then immunity of instrumentality, a very unique term. See, in your state, whichever state you belong to, if you are living in a big city there, you have the income tax building. Yes or no? Income tax building. Those income tax buildings house which kind of officers? Central government officer or a state government officer? Tell me. In the income tax building, it's the central government officer, income tax central government. But those income tax buildings, are they not being given services with respect to sanitation? Are they not being given services of cleanliness, water, electricity? Yes, they are, by the municipal corporation. Can the municipal corporation impose any kind of tax on these government buildings? No, it can't. Articles 285 and 289 are very clear that central government buildings can't be taxed by the state. And similarly, vice versa is also true. A state government building, it also can't be taxed by center. They are given the immunity because they are instruments of the country. So since they are instruments of the nation, the central and state government buildings can't tax each other. Also, there is no division of public services. For example, if you are an IAS officer and you are posted in a state, what's your duty? Is your duty only to implement the schemes of central government, or your duty is to implement schemes of both the central and state government? Both. If a DSP is hired and an SP is hired, will the SP take up different kind of cases, crimes against central government only? No. The SP is just a senior of DSP. Simple. There is no bifurcation in the public services that a UPSC hired person will only be conducting tasks for the center, not for the states. And finally, the duty of center to protect the states. Article 355, we saw it today only, right? So all these are elements of cooperative federalism. Now, of course, one more thing, like in your group of friends, you don't love all your friends equally. There are some friends closer to you who know your more important secrets. Some friends who are very casual and you just have a basic understanding with them, nothing beyond that. Or in your family also, your parents do not love all the kids the same. If you are the kid who is not being loved, then please clear UPSC. They'll start loving you more immediately. Don't worry. Simple solution. If you're already receiving love, then also clear the exam. The love will also increase. Don't worry. Today's motivation is this only. Okay. So we also have in our country asymmetric federalism. Current DPSP cooperative. As I said, current more on this later on under Article 37. But just to summarize this, DPSPs are basically the most fundamental principles in our country, which both the center and the states have to incorporate while making policies and laws. So while you make laws, you have to abide by the DPSP, whether it is the center or the states. Okay. Now, asymmetric federalism. For example, uh, if I can draw a diagram here, so this is center and you have all the states which are at different distance. I am not saying distance geographically. I am saying distance in giving a leeway, leverage. Some states have no independence. Some states have too much of autonomy. Some areas, no control whatsoever on anything. Some areas can decide a lot of things on their own. For example, representation in Rajya Sabha only. A state like UP controls 31 seats. Imagine the control UP has in Rajya Sabha for its own interest. State like Goa, 1 seat. Punjab, 7. Kerala, 9. MP, 11. It varies. So this representation varies. For example, UP has 31, and just to show a very stark difference, Goa has 1. Then special category states. So if you remember, while we are discussing about the governor, special responsibilities. So there are certain states, you'll find them from Article 371 to 371J. right? So you have these seven sister states, except of course Meghalaya and Tripura. Then Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra, Telangana, Goa, Sikkim, and Karnataka. These states are covered here. In your Lakshmikant, this is mentioned under chapter 37. Don't jump and read it. It's okay. Hear me out. If at any point of time any of the articles come into news, please read the article from the original constitution. That's it. If it does not come into news, don't read it. A question on this will never be asked until and unless the article is being discussed in the news. Are we clear? For example, back in 2012, Article 371A was under discussion. Nagaland was under discussion because of some issue between center and states on setting up some factories, industries. And in 2013, a question was asked on the exact same article. So this has to be selective study only based on current affairs. Don't go on mugging up everything. Then schedule 5 and 6 areas. I think we saw this today only in our own discussions today. How much of independence has been given to schedule 5 areas? They have TAC. What is TAC? Tribal Advisory Council. And I hope you remember ADCs. The autonomous district councils. They have their own executive power, own legislative power, financial power, separate court system. What more do you want? Then uneven fiscal devolution amongst the states. Money is not given to states equally. It is unequal. Some states get more money, some states get less money. And lastly, there are certain areas which have no power only, no independence. We call those areas as UTs. Where is the control? With center. Zero autonomy, zero independence. The center controls you. Asymmetric federalism. Lastly, competitive federalism. This is a evolving concept, especially after the creation of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is a classic example, which a think tank which looks to create a sense of healthy, constructive competition across the country amongst the states, right? Then the freedom to plan its expenditure. So when the states get money, the center gives the money and says, "Go, live your life, waste the money as you want to." Now, some states can spend money on giving subsidies. Other states can spend money on infrastructure, right? So the freedom to plan the expenditure based on the priorities. Also, various rankings that are released by various ministries and departments. For example, you have the Good Governance Index. You have the NESDA. This is basically e-governance index. Okay, National e-governance service delivery assessment. Or you have the ease of doing business. Various rankings: Swachh Bharat Abhiyan ranking, aspirational districts ranking, achievements over the sustainable development goals. Various examples of rankings which create a sense of healthy and constructive competition across the country. Competitive federalism. Done. My request to you, mug up all these points. Just mug up all these points, and if a question comes on center state relations, you'll not miss out on answering that question if you mug up all these points. Very easy and simple to understand. Before we move on, solve a question which came in 2021. Please mark the answer. The independence of the judiciary is safeguarded. Federal feature. We had mentioned this. Independent judiciary. Right answer. The union legislature has elected representatives from constituent units. Tell me, Lok Sabha. Is Lok Sabha an element of federal features? Of course not. Even the unitary country, let's say a country is unitary. How is the parliament, or what does the parliament comprise of? The entire country is divided into small constituencies, and every constituency chooses some member, and they go and be a part of the National Assembly. So that is not necessarily a federal feature. And of course, these two are definitely incorrect. Okay. Now, finally, let's move on to center-state relations. We have covered almost every ground, so nothing unique here. Just some revision, and we'll sail through this topic very smoothly. Let's take a quick break, right? Not a very long one. Uh, let's come back at 7:05. No problem. Take a break till 7:05. Be back. We'll start our discussion. The last almost an hour will be focused on center state relations. Break, please. Come back at 7:05, guys. Welcome back, guys. Okay, so center state relations. So, before I begin this discussion on this topic, I'd like to make a small announcement. And the announcement is that next week is the last weekend class, of course. And we have the class on Saturday and Sunday. Uh, you'll get your mails, etc. You'll get the information as well. So on Saturday, the class will begin not at 12, but at 10. So 10 to 8 and 10 to 8, Saturday and Sunday. I hope we'll have no problems. In case there's any concern or issue, you always have the recordings available to watch them later on. Right? So, just a small piece of information. Please don't forget, you will be informed through mail as well. Don't worry. The class link will be active. So, you'll have the class from 10 on Saturday and not 12. Clear, guys? Yes, no? Okay. Kambapati, no, not at all. That is not normally, in the very strict sense, considered as federalism. It is local self governance is not seen as federalism but seen as people's participation, right? That's how it is. Anyway, now coming to the center state relations, part 11 of the Indian Constitution. We look at it through three lines or along three lines largely. The first one is legislative relations, then administrative relations, and then we look at the financial relations. First up, legislative relation. So, one thing, when the states make a law, those laws are applicable on people within the boundary of the state, within the territory of the state. But center has the authority to make laws which exceed the boundary of the center. Extraterritorial legislation is available only to the center. States have no such power. Point one. Point two is Schedule 6, which is Schedule 7, which is Article 246. The three lists: union, state, and concurrent. Point 3 is Article 248. We have already seen the relationship. The residuary powers, they all lie with the center. Okay. And then Article 249, we have seen this article also, where the parliament can make laws on stateless subjects if the Rajya Sabha allows through a two-third majority, and such authorization is valid only for 1 year at a time, can be renewed any number of times, and laws made under this authorization cease to operate 6 months after the end of authorization. Right? Article 249. Then we have Article 250, we saw today only, that during national emergency, the parliament can make laws on stateless subjects. One more point. If at any point of time, two or more states agree and they approach the center, that center, this is a stateless topic, but we can't make laws. Please, you make laws for us. Then the parliament can make laws in that situation also. Third example of how the parliament can make laws on stateless subjects. How? If two or more states approach the parliament and seek or request the parliament to make a law, then parliament can make laws on those matters also. Clear? But only for those states, not for other states. Right? A very good example of this would be the topic of public health. Public health is a state list subject. Entry number 6. Okay, entry number 6. Now, states like Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal, Mizoram, these states have approached the center and have asked the center to make laws on matters dealing with public health, that is hospitals. And center did oblige by making a law, and that law is called, it's an old law, clinical establishments, their registration and Regulation Act of 2010. This is a law which was made by center on the topic public health, that is hospitals, for these states. If any other state wants, it can also adopt this law, no problem. But only the states which choose to accept this will follow this. It is not that now it is binding on all the states. No, no, that's not the case. And lastly, see, center controls foreign policy. And sometimes center signs so many orders, or center signs so many, ratifies so many conventions, is a part of so many treaties and all. And those conventions, etc., have some obligations on the member states. For example, India was a signatory to the UN Convention on, sorry, not on, against corruption. Against corruption. Now, the expectation under this convention was that all the member states will create some kind of ombudsman, a watchdog in their country to keep a check on corrupt officials, including ministers and head of governments, prime minister. The result was the creation or the passage of Lokpal and the Lokayukt Act of 2013. Now, Lokpal is a group of officials for the central government, central ministers, MPs, Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D officers of central government. What is Lokayukt? Lokayukt is meant for state governments. How did center make a law? Center was simply giving effect to an international treaty of which it was a part of. That's also allowed. So there are 4 articles in total wherein the center gets a power to make laws on stateless subjects. Let's come back here now to add 2 more articles. Article 252 and 253. This completes our list of all those areas where center can make laws on stateless subjects. Clear? Unitary features, the first page of it. Now coming back to again our point of discussion. Now, to improve the center-state relations, back in 1983, a commission was formed called Sarkaria Commission. This commission was chaired by the former Supreme Court judge, who was a Supreme Court judge from 1973 to 81, Justice Ranjit Singh Sarkaria. This Sarkaria Commission gave its reports 1985 onwards till 1988, and It has given in total 247 recommendations on various aspects to improve center-state relations. Of course, not all recommendations are important. Other members of the commission included people like Sivaraman, S.R. Sen, Rama Subramaniam, etc. Now, this commission, before giving its recommendations, asked the state governments only that state governments, you tell us what's your problem. I think that was a mistake the Sarkaria Commission made. Asking states what's your problem. States went crazy. States went overboard. Started saying some states like Punjab, West Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, etc. They said, what is this nonsense of list and all? Abolish all the lists. There should be only one list, state list, and four topics outside state list: defense, foreign policy, external affairs, communication, and currency. Every other topic should be a part of state list only. Sarkaria Commission said, guys, this is too much. Please control your emotions. Some states said that there should not be any concurrent list. Merge it with the state list only. There should be two lists, union and state. Now, Sarkaria Commission said that, see, guys, concurrent list has to be retained, but center, it advised the center that center don't occupy too much field. Let the states make laws, but if there is at any point of time some uniformity required, then interfere. For example, let's say criminal laws only. Now, if some state gives a punishment, if you are murdering somebody in Kerala and you are getting a jail punishment of 1 day only, and in UP you are getting death sentence, of course people will drag all the people to Kerala and kill them, right? So that should not be the case. So criminal punishment should be uniform across the country. That's the point. So CRPC, IPC, etc. are a part of concurrent list, and center should make laws to ensure uniformity, but only interfere in those parts of concurrent list where uniformity is required. Otherwise, let the states enjoy the power. And if at any point of time you feel that there is some problem, you can always make a law. That's the advice. Second, when it comes to residuary powers, it's been 35 years of independence now, or rather of the constitution coming into force. 35 meaning from 1950 to 1985. So now the center, you have come to know of so many residuary powers. Why don't you place those powers in the concurrent list? Let the states also make laws. Yes, if the power relates to taxation, with respect to taxation, then you keep it. But other powers, if you have found out those topics which are not mentioned anywhere, please send them to the concurrent list. That's more advisable. And then, if you remember, this is a case of Article 200. What is Article 200? Do you remember? Referential veto. Article 200. Yes or no? Referential veto. What is the meaning of this? The governor can reserve the bill for the consideration of the president, of course. And we also know very well that when the bill goes to the president can send back the bill, and within 6 months the states have to respond. Number one. And even if the states respond, it is not binding on the president to sign, right? But still, it was found that when the bills were sent to the president, the central government or the president never took any action on the bill, kept the bill pending for not months, years. There have been examples of bills pending for 20 years with the center. This is wrong. If you have found some problem with the bill, then please, the state government has every right to know what is wrong with the bill. If they don't incorporate your suggestions, don't sign it. But at least let them know. Give them a legitimate chance to improve upon the uh, bill. So, needless reservation of state bills should be avoided, firstly. Don't do this. And such bills should be disposed of in 4 months, that is by the president or the center. Don't uselessly keep sitting on the bill. Give your recommendation within 4 months. Let the states incorporate the recommendations. If not, don't sign it. Simple. Anyway, there was one more commission called Panchi Commission. Panchi Commission was set up in the year 2007 and it gave its recommendations till 2010. Now, Panchi Commission was chaired by Madan Mohan Panchi, who was the Chief Justice of India in 1998. And interesting information about him is that when he was a CJI, or just before he became the CJI, some of the lawyers were trying to convince some MPs to give a notice for his removal. But when he became the CJI, that plan was dropped. So Madan Mohan Panchi. Anyway, Madan Mohan Panchi or the Panchi Commission gave 312 recommendations. One such recommendation was premised on the lines of USA. That in USA, in the Senate, there is equal representation of all the states, which offers protection to the smaller states also. In India, this is not the case. Smaller states like, say, Nagaland, Tripura, Sikkim, Goa, Himachal, etc., they have no say in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Some states have cornered all the seats in the Rajya Sabha. There should be equal representation. Why? Protection for smaller states. That was done. So, equal representation of states in the Rajya Sabha, but this has been rejected by the government. Why? Because the government says, see, this can't be incorporated. If you give this kind of thing, that 5 MPs from Goa, 5 from UP, 5 from Rajasthan, 5 from Tamil Nadu, then you are actually going to face a problem where few smaller states with very few people, population, etc., will come together and hijack the passage of all the bills. That could be detrimental. So that has been rejected already. Second thing was, if you remember, if you want to be an MP in the Rajya Sabha, original law was that you should have your name in the voter list or you should be a resident of the state. But in 2003, it was modified that even outsiders can represent any state. Yes or no? Are we clear? So, Panchi Commission said, no, 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 that's wrong. Restore it. Why should somebody else from some other state represent my state in the Rajya Sabha? For example, right now, Nirmala Sitharaman, who belongs to some other state, Tamil Nadu, represents some other state, Karnataka, in the Rajya Sabha. Panchi Commission says that no, this is wrong. Such people should represent their state only in the Rajya Sabha. Again, like USA, to strengthen federalism. This has also been rejected. No, no, it's not possible. We can't go back to the same old story. Now, the suggestion which Sarkaria Commission gave for Article 200 as 4 months, Panchi Commission said 6 months. Same suggestion, 6 months. That the president or the center should, within 6 months, dispose of the bills. Right? Their logic was that since the state assemblies are getting 6 months to respond, so the president should also dispose of in 6 months only. And lastly, again, for the same logic of concurrent list, Panchi Commission says that, see, when you are trying to make laws on concurrent list subjects, concurrent list subjects, please ensure that states are taken on board. And center don't unilaterally start making laws on the concurrent list subjects. Again, the idea is cooperation. That center, let the states make laws. You are the ultimate boss. If things go wrong, you can rectify by making a law which has overriding powers. So let the states enjoy the powers. That's with the relationship, that is the legislative relationship. Now the administrative relations. Satish, who can recommend and where it presented? What who can recommend? What recommends Satish? These are commissions formed by the government only to tell the government on how to improve center-state relations. So these commissions are formed by the government, okay, and they give recommendation to the government. Simple. It is not some constitutional or statutory body that its reports have to be tabled in the parliament and all. Not required. Are we clear, Satish? Is that your question or was it something else? Okay, Satish is like gone from the class, I believe. Oh, okay, he's here. Okay, great then. Done. Now, administrative relations. What about administrative relations? So, as we say, see the administrative relations flow along the same lines as the legislative relations. Meaning, whatever topics the state has power over are the topics where the state governments have power over, right? Meaning stately subjects. So Article 256, for example, says that the state government, the executive power of state, should not violate any law made by the parliament. Don't do all that. Your limit is decided by the legislative power given to the state assembly. That's your limit. So please don't infringe upon the parliamentary domain because that is central government's power. Number two, now think of this. These two are actually part of Article 257, two different clauses, clause 2 and clause 3. Now, my point is there are a lot of no, aspects, infrastructures, which are of national importance, right? Military importance. Railways, for example. Now, all these are present all across the country, which lie inside the territorial boundary of a state. Central government has the authority to give binding direction to states to construct and maintain means of communication of national and military operation. It could be, say, power grids, it could be national waterways, it could be national highways. All these things are there. Example, national waterways, or highways, power grids, etc. Also, center can give binding direction to states to protect the railways because railway lines and railway stations are spread all across the country. Center may not be able to control everything, and in some of the states we have seen amazing situation, people stealing railway tracks only. Look at the audacity of the people, and I mean, should we laugh, be surprised, be shocked, or be horrified that people in one state in the northern part of the country, why to name any state, they stole the railway track. Railway track was stolen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems funny, but it's horrifying that sometimes people treat public property as your own too seriously, and they actually take it home. What can we say? And then we'll crib that there is no governance happening. Governments are failing. And we have also failed as citizens, right? At every point of time, we are regularly failing as citizens, sadly. I mean, not we per se, me and you, but as collective conscience of the nation, right? So that is a very sad state of affairs for us. So what can we do? And you have to deal with such elements also in the country, right? So coming down on them with a strong iron hand is also a problem. They are our own people, right? So awareness, education, that's the only way out. Anyway, my point is very clear here. If the center is giving binding direction to states to protect the railways or to construct and maintain means of communication, money is required. What is this nonsense? You are telling me to do all these things without any money? Of course, don't panic. Money will be given by the center. Funds to be provided by center. But what if center says, state government, come on, improve, fill all the potholes on all the national highways in your state, take a 5 star, take 10 rupees, go enjoy. Now, of course, this is not money, right? There should be a amount which should be in proportion to the task you're asking me to perform. So if at all this happens, if state is dissatisfied with the amount being offered, you can approach the Supreme Court. Simple. Now, Supreme Court is going to appoint an arbitrator. Arbitrator will be appointed in the Supreme Court, whose task will be to decide on the final amount. Final amount. This amount can't be challenged. Done. Final. So center will have to pay this amount if they want the work to be done, and state has to accept the amount if the center willingly pays the amount. Are we clear? So don't worry, money will be given by the center. It is not that the center will simply harass the states, but they will give the money. Now, there are three more important provisions that you should know. All these three articles are important. Point one, center can also give binding direction to the state governments to execute, to firstly create, formulate, draw, and execute schemes which are meant for the upliftment of the scheduled tribes in the state. Are we clear? So central government can give binding direction to state government to create schemes and programs and execute them for the welfare of the scheduled tribes. Article 339 clause 2. Number 2, Article 347. Interesting article. Let me explain. In our country, states have the power to make a law to create or to give to themselves some official language. You go to Tamil Nadu, Tamil is the official language in the state. Meaning, official language meaning the language which is used in administration, day-to-day government activities. You go to Karnataka, Kannada. You go to Rajasthan, Hindi. Clear? Now, our states are not built on the grounds of one language, one state, because that idea was rejected by the Fazal Ali Commission, right? So in a state, there can be people who speak a different language also from the majority population. Let's take an example here. This is a state, say Tamil Nadu. Most people are speaking Tamil. Tamil is the official language. But let's assume that there are some people, a substantial proportion of population, who are big fans of Korean rom-coms, the cringe-worthy South Korean romantic comedies, romantic series. And they watch these series day in, day out. They have become great fans of the series that they now speak Korean only. They say, we don't understand Tamil. What is Tamil? Hindi? No, sorry. What is English and all? South Korean. Now they can approach the president and can say, President, please ask the Tamil Nadu government to also make Korean language as an official language in the state, or just for that area. That's possible, right? Of course, we have to go to the president for a schedule 8 language. So on a demand being made in that behalf, the president can if he is satisfied that a substantial proportion of the population of a state desire the use of any language spoken by them to be recognized by that state, then the president can direct that such language shall also be officially recognized throughout the state or in any part of the state. Clear? Article 347, a separate official language can also be created if the center instructs the state. Lastly, Article 350 capital A. I think everybody here would agree that if kids are taught, at least in their primary stage, I'm not saying in colleges and all, but at least in the primary stage, if they are taught in their mother tongue, the learning curve is faster. Same logic. Firstly, it shall be the endeavor. Endeavor means effort. It shall be the endeavor of every state, strive, every state to ensure that within their state, they are providing adequate facilities. Adequate facilities for what? For providing instruction or teaching in the schools at the primary stage in mother tongue to those kids who belong to linguistic minority groups. So in your state, if there is a linguistic minority group, a group of people which speaks a distinct language, which is a minority language, then the state government, the local body should take efforts to provide schooling to those kids, at least at the primary stage, in the mother tongue. And along this, the president can also issue orders that state do it, right? So this is Article 350 capital A. Now, issues in the administrative relations, very simple issues. Abuse of Article 356, which is what? Which is President's rule. The abuse of Article 356, though it has been coming down since SR Bommai 1994 because of Supreme Court's enthusiastic interference now, but that used to be a concern. Secondly, role of governors. Example, West Bengal. Example, Tamil Nadu. Example, Kerala, etc. That is why one suggestion can be to ensure the independence of governor. Therefore, independence of governors, very, very important. Then also the center state conflict with respect to all India services management. All India services management. Center state conflict with respect to AIS management. That's also an area of concern. More on this when you study your governance, the role of civil services. Now, how to improve upon this administrative relationship? How to better it? So, we have the creation of something called interstate council. Article 263 allows the president to create an interstate council to improve the center state relations. And it was never created till 1990. And this was also done on the recommendation of Sarkaria Commission, right? Now, here the president can create an interstate council. It was created. Originally, the body was formed and was slated to meet twice every year. But sadly, since 1990, the body has met only 11 times. In fact, 10 times till 2006 and last in 2016. So largely since 2006, the body has just met only once, and even till 2006, it rarely met. The body has a prime minister, CM of all the states, 6 union ministers, administrators of UTs, all of them are members. It has remained defunct. Defunct means non-functional. See, there are two big reasons for it. Reason number one, this idea that there was a sense of, look at your life also. Every year, if not thousands, hundreds of people clear UPSC. 700-800 people every year. Your life remains the same. You are not impacted. You are singing, enjoying, making merry. But if your neighbor clears the examination, if your relative clears the examination, then your parents will make life hell for you. And you yourself will feel bad about it. Right? We are largely impacted by our neighbors. What is the concern of Kerala with Jharkhand? And why should Bihar be bothered about Tripura? And what is the issue Nagaland has with Maharashtra? No problem. But Maharashtra and Karnataka could have a problem. Tamil Nadu and Kerala could have a problem. Bihar and Jharkhand could have a problem. Right? Nagaland and Mizoram could have a problem. We have issues with our neighbors. Collectively, all the states sitting together in a meeting, most states were completely oblivious of what is happening. They had no interest. Secondly, these meetings of interstate council used to work on equality basis. In fact, there's a situation where one southern state, Tamil Nadu, the CM of Tamil Nadu was given some time to speak and raise her issues. She was speaking and raising all the issues and concerns, and she was interrupted because the time given to her was over. She sat down, and then the Sikkim CM started speaking, and he was given the same amount of time as the Tamil Nadu CM. Tamil Nadu CM became very angry, saying that, see, I command a bigger state. Logically also, I have more issues to deal with. How can you give same amount of time to me to raise my concerns as the CM of a smaller state? And she stormed out of the meeting only, which is actually true also, that a bigger state may have more issues to deal with. So this principle of equality may not always work. So this body has largely failed. Plus, we already have bodies outside constitution, these statutory bodies. They are all statutory bodies. Which are called zonal councils. So zonal councils have been created under the States Reorganization Act 1956, right? So we have these 5 zonal councils named as Northern Zonal Council, Central Zonal Council, Eastern Zonal Council, Western Zonal Council, Southern Zonal Council, and all the states members, the neighbors. What's the purpose? Function is to prevent this development of this acute sense of state consciousness that my state is the only thing I'm worrying about. To hell with the country, I don't really care. My state, my pride. It's okay, your state, your pride. But this feeling should not be there that the state becomes more important than the country. Secondly, to also develop the habit of cooperative working. And lastly, to also give recommendations on how to improve the center state relations and how to resolve peacefully and amicably the center state and state disputes. Composition: the chairman is the home minister. Amit Shah is the chairman. The home minister is the chairman of all such councils, and CMs of the state, the member states, plus 2 other ministers are members, including admins of UTs, if any. So, chairman is the home minister. Who is the vice chairman? Chief minister, by rotation. For example, let's say Eastern Zonal Council. In this council, if Bihar CM is the vice chairman this year, next year Jharkhand CM, next year Odisha CM, next year West Bengal CM, next year Bihar CM. That's how it is done, through rotation. Clear? Plus one more thing, you also have advisors. Who are these advisors? Advisors are the chief secretaries of all the member states. They are the advisors. Now, these are the zonal councils. If you observe, one large area is left out, and that area is the northeastern part. So, in 1971, through the Northeastern Council Act, we created a statutory body for northeastern states also, 7 sister states and Sikkim, 8 states, right? And once this was created, the idea being that this would be an advisory body which would advise on how to improve upon the functioning at the northeastern state level. All the chief ministers, all the governors of all the 8 states are members. Here also, chairperson will be nominated by the president, but we follow a convention here that the home minister is the chairperson, home minister of the country. Are we clear? This is the Northeastern Council, an area of cooperation with respect to the neighboring states. Now coming to the limitations on the, or rather the financial relations, of which the first element is limitations on the state's power to impose, levy taxes. What can the states not do? So, states, of course, cannot levy tax on import export. That's not possible. States cannot levy tax on interstate trade. That's not possible. Article 2, oh, revision time. Tell me, guys, Article 276. Which topic did we study this? What's the limit on professional tax? And what is the recommendation? Tell me, 3 questions all in one. Let's see how much you remember. So this was a topic we covered under municipalities. Professional tax, the current limit is how much? 2,500 rupees per year. And remember the recommendation? The recommendation was what? The 14th Finance Commission said that we should increase it to at least 12,000 per year. So that limit is also decided by the center only. States, though the states get money, the municipal corporations make money, but they can't increase this. And lastly, immunity of instrumentality. What is this? We just saw it. Center and states, they cannot tax each other, the buildings. One more point for you to know. I gave the example of this this income tax building. Now, this income tax building also consumes electricity. Yes or no? It does consume electricity. My point is, have you ever seen the electricity bill in your own house? You must have, some of you. There are 2 components. One is the basic tariff, that the number of units you have consumed into the rate per unit. And then a tax is imposed on that. Now, this article says that whatever electricity the central government building consumes, no tax to be imposed. on the consumption of electricity by central government buildings. Are you clear? So no tax to be imposed by the state government. Now see, basic tariff has to be paid. It's not free. Whatever units you are consuming, you have to pay for that. But additional tax will not be imposed. Okay. And lastly, we have this body called Finance Commission. Of course, the recommendation, some of it we saw in the local self-governance, and we'll be discussing about this body in detail in your economics classes. This body is under Article 280. It's of course a constitutional body. It has to be formed every 5 years by the president, and it is mentioned in the constitution that parliament by law can decide the qualification of members. Parliament by law can prescribe the qualification of members. So Parliament has made a law which is called the Finance Commission Act of 1951, which talks about the what? Which talks about what are the qualifications of the members. Number one, you should have knowledge of public affairs. Number two, these are all members now. The chairperson should be somebody who has knowledge of public affairs. One member should have knowledge of finance. The other should have knowledge of economics. The other should be either a high court judge or a retired high court judge or somebody who is qualified to be a high court judge. So please tell me, what is the qualification to be a high court judge? And the fourth one is experience in the financial matters. Yes, innocent aspirants. I know it's a tiring day now, end of day, and I'm asking all these dangerous questions. But please tell me, what is the qualification to be a high court judge? Akash, 10 years of practice in any high court. Okay. Nikhil, judicial officer for 10 years. As a lawyer. Okay, of course, practicing as a lawyer. District judge, Parshuram. Fair enough. 5 years in high court and 10 years as normal lawyer. Who is a normal lawyer, Shilpa, and who is an abnormal lawyer? 10 years advocate, famous jurist, Ravi. Who is a famous jurist? Jurist's qualification is only for Supreme Court. See, 10 years of experience in the High Court as an advocate or judicial officer for 10 years. Simple. Are we clear? No confusion. Now, what is the function of this Finance Commission? Very, very simple function. It is the duty of the commission to recommend to the president what? Two things. How much money should be given between center and states? How much money should be distributed between center and states? Distribution between union and the states of all the taxes collected. We call this vertical devolution. Basically, the idea being there we have center and how much money to be given to the states. This kind of devolution is vertical devolution. Also, how much money should be distributed or allocated amongst the states. If 40% has been sent to states, of that 40%, 2% to UP, 0.3% to Tripura, 1% to Rajasthan, 1.7% to Bihar, this kind of allocation. which you would refer to as horizontal allocation. This is horizontal. Vertical distribution and horizontal allocation. Apart from this, what should be the logic, the principles which should govern the grants in aid of the revenues out of states, revenue for the states out of CFI? So, free money, if you are giving some free money to the states, what should be the logic to give the free money? That also the Finance Commission can recommend. And then, lastly, the Finance Commission should also suggest to the state governments, states, how to, what steps can they take to augment? Augment means to increase. What steps can the state government take to augment, to increase what? Their CFS, so that if there is more money in the CFS, more money can be given to the panchayats. If there is more money in the CFS, more money can be given for municipalities, right? So they can also recommend to the state governments on what steps you can take to, so that more money is left for the states to give to panchayats, devolve to municipalities. These are functions performed by the Finance Commission. Okay. Last slide would take around 15 minutes, so we'll move it for the next class only. The issues in center-state financial relations. We'll end our discussion here only today. In the next class, we'll take up for discussion the fundamental rights, then DPSPs, the duties, official languages, and preamble. Right? Before we end our discussion, couple of things. The task for the next weekend. See, barring two questions. One question is on Article 21 and one question is on the constitutional provisions for women. That we'll discuss after we're discussing fundamental rights. Every question from the previous year paper can be solved by you. Trust me. I don't want to claim, oh, such an amazing teacher that you can solve everything. But that is a fact. That's a reality. That everything could have been solved by you. So I would request you to please solve the previous year question of 2023 mains. This will also serve as a revision for you. Then, of course, your PPTs. Of course, the editorials on a daily basis. Please read them. Those people, Yojana Kurukshetra gist has to be mugged up. Right? Then, people for 2024, please focus on the monthly magazine. I hope the political theory revision is going on. And of course, plus don't skip on the test. Take the test. It's very, very important. The mock test. Clear? Please focus on this. And we will meet the next week. That is going to be all for me. And in case time still is left for you to study, then you can study chapters 13, 14, 15 from Lakshmikant, the important chapters here. Though I'll give you the chapter list and the important articles in the next class also for center state financial relations. Okay. That is all for me, guys. Jai Hind. Doubts, if any? Gaurav. Yes, of course, Gaurav. Please send it to the target IAS. Every answer should be evaluated. Pooja, Sir, एक confusion है. CAG, no, CAG only audits for center and states. For the panchayats, they have their own auditors hired. The state government by law, the state legislature by law hires its own auditors. Akash, target IAS. Target IAS. IAS live is for general queries and concerns, I believe. So, any other query or concern, any issue? Harsh 2024, Baiju's monthly magazine. Hey, don't ask all these questions in the last class. What is this? So far, you have not been studying then. Download Baiju's monthly magazine and mug up the entire magazine 4 to 5 times. 2024 round the corner. Come on, guys. Be more sincere, okay? No other doubts, no other queries. That's great. Thank you for attending the session. We had a very rough start in the morning with lot of noise issues. Hopefully, things have resolved or things got resolved in a couple of hours, and now we had a smooth sailing. Sushanta, ho ho, don't ask me this. Write the answer. Akash, yes, general pointers can be kept in mind and can be used in your answers. Responsibility and accountability in judicial system. See, when it comes to being responsible and being accountable, responsibility has a moral obligation. Though if you go by the strong definition, it's largely the same. But responsibility is a moral obligation. Accountability is with respect to the performance of functions, right? That's there. Uh, Indian polity by spectrum. Silambarsai, you please read the PPTs first, sir. Uh, I did not see many correct answers from you when I asked questions. So I think focus on this first. I'm not really sure what the spectrum book is. So I cannot comment on that. But I think that would be more appropriate. Gaurav, sir, polity weightage has increased this year. So why should I be too happy? It's okay. I won't be too happy. If the polity weightage increases over the course of 3 4 years, then my importance as a teacher will increase. Otherwise, it's okay right now. These things keep on happening. 1 year this weightage, second year that weightage, it keeps on happening. It is a good year for polity. Easy questions also, not too difficult, right? So yes, of course. Any other doubts, queries, concerns? No. Great. So Silambarsai, oh, I have no control over this. It's a different department, so I'm not really sure if I can be of any help here. But as far as my topic is concerned, you don't really need much beyond this, beyond the PPTs. Gaurav, these are again managerial decisions which are beyond my control. Okay, that's it, guys. Let's meet over the course of next weekend. The class will begin on at 10 on Saturday, not at 12. Please don't miss the first 2 hours because in those first 2 hours, we'll be discussing about the basic structure concept of the Indian Constitution, Keshwan Bharti. The next class is going to be hell lot interesting, of course, because we're discussing fundamental rights. And that's it. Let's meet the next weekend. Till then, that is all for me. Jai Hind.